There's only despair for the thousands of students who are stuck in Ukraine. Official estimates say that about 3,000 students so far are still stuck in Ukraine, and even though evacuation efforts are on and more than 4 to 5 flights are operating every single day, it's being very difficult for the students who are there, and also for the parents and the family members of those students who are in India. I've been speaking to many of them, and there's absolute just grief and a sense of hopelessness that one can see, knowing that their kids and their family members are stuck in a war zone and trying to get out of there, and with the situation getting difficult day by day. There are students who are still stuck in the city of Kharkiv, which is conflict stricken. There are students still stuck in the city of Sumy on the eastern border, where students can hear the Russian boots outside, they can hear the guns firing outside, and it's making them incredibly anxious, and they're urging the Indian authorities to move them out of there. But evacuation is taking it's making it very difficult for students to get them across from the eastern border to the western border, where evacuation efforts are taking place in Ukraine's neighboring countries, in Poland, in Hungary, in the Slovak Republic. So the situation is very difficult for the people who are stuck there, and it's also difficult for their family members who are just waiting for them to come back home. Well, the Indian government has taken a stance of neutrality on the entire conflict. In the United Nations, the Indian envoy has abstained from voting on the issue 3 times now, signaling very clearly that it doesn't want to take a stand on this conflict at all. Part of the reason is that India has very close ties to Russia. It has depended on Russia for its defense supplies for nearly 6 decades now. On multilateral forum like the BRICS, of which South Africa is also a part, India and Russia are also very close there. So there are some interests that India has with Russia, but on the other side, it also has very close ties with the West. So it is having to walk a tightrope here, a diplomatic tightrope, if you will. But at the same time, it's providing humanitarian assistance to Ukraine, saying to the world that even though it is standing neutral in the entire conflict, it is supporting the humanitarian cause of providing relief to Ukraine, which is clearly in a very bad shape right now. The Indian government says that its priority right now is the evacuation of people, of the Indian citizens who are stuck in Ukraine, and even nationals who are willing to jump on the Indian bandwagon and come out of Ukraine. In the past few days, India has evacuated citizens not only from India but also from Pakistan and Bangladesh, India's neighboring countries. So India's priorities right now are the evacuation of its citizens, and on the international front, it's trying to maintain a position of neutrality. There is a general sense of hope with the announcement of the humanitarian corridor, because for the families of the students who are stuck in Ukraine, it means for them this could be a way out for those hundreds of kids who are stuck in Sumy, or for the thousands who might be stuck in the city of Kharkiv, which is getting incredibly dangerous by the minute. So there is a sense of hope that now, when these humanitarian corridors have been agreed upon, there will be a chance for these students to get out of there, because a lot of these people are running out of food and water already and finding it very difficult to get transport to move them to the evacuation point. So with the establishment of the corridor, with the principle of it being set in place, there is a sense of hope. Now, in terms of the humanitarian assistance that India is sending, India has already sent its first batch of aid to Ukraine. It includes medical supplies, it includes grain, it includes tents and general supplies that one would use to put up temporary shelters, and more assistance is on its way, according to Indian government. They haven't said clearly what they are going to offer in the future, but it could be along the lines of the material they've already sent. India can lose a lot from this conflict, not only because of its dependence on Russia, but also because of the human ties between India and Ukraine, particularly because of India's ties with Russia. For example, the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia are going to have an impact on India as well. Russia supplies a large section of India's defense mechanism, all the way from arms, ammunition, missiles, and defense systems, and a large part of that could be affected by the Western sanctions that have been imposed. Secondly is the import of another crucial material called potash, which is a important component of fertilizers in India, and India is a very agriculture dependent economy. Nearly 65% of India's people practice agriculture. So the potential problems with the import of potash, which goes into making fertilizer, could have a devastating impact on India's food sector. The oil problem, of course, is going to be very huge for India as well, because oil is necessary in India not only for manufacturing but also for retail purposes as well, and India has been struggling with rising fuel prices for the past 2 years. So with the global crude oil prices rising because of the conflict as well, it can have a devastating impact on the Indian economy and also on the pockets of the general consumer.